We can run, we can hide behind the wall of lies. The truth will find us. We can hide in the night, but in the morning light, the truth will find us.
This is the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Our owner and engineer, Jim Savali, at the helm. Today we're going to do the old school rock and wrestling connection with Jeannie Fry and the Lifers live in studio with an acoustic set. And later, wrestler Chris Michaels will join us, and we're going to talk about the Undertaker and Goldberg wrestling into their 50s, which is something Chris can relate to. And we're also going to talk to Across the Board, a great band out of Canada. But right now, we have Jeannie Fry and the Lifers live in studio. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannie Fry. I have two of the Lifers with me. Usually we have a full band, but this is an unplugged version, and we're going to play 4 songs for you.
All right.
This one's called In the Rain.
1, 2, 3, 4.
In the day. The light of day. The light of day. The light of day. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
This one, Bob and I both sing. Should I move the mics, or it doesn't matter?
I'll just come over a little, because it's sort of a blend, so.
Okay.
I think, how's it?
Should I put it in the
I
middle?
think you'll be good, because this is picking up.
Okay, good, oh, we're
Okay.
good, we're good.
This one is called Green Light.
Jenny?
What about that mic over there?
Sitting here in my empty house, TV's on the floor, lights all out, and the sound just hanging around. Thinking maybe I'll head into town. I could jump in a gypsy cab, be with you, baby, in 10 minutes flat. All that you gotta do, let me know it's alright with you. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. My love, to bring my love to you. You might be gun shy, might not believe my alibi, but there's a good time waiting for me, baby. I don't lie. You won't have to go pop. There's a drink in that corner bar that I will walk you home under the local stars. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. Bring my love. Bring my love to you. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. Give me the green light. It's gonna be alright. I don't have to stay all night. Give me the green light. Bring my love. Bring my love to you. To bring my love. Bring my love to you. Bring my love.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We just have one more song. This one's about a ghost. It's a true story.
It's a punk rock song, so we're doing it acoustically. If you hear it with the band, like, but a little lighter.
It's called Tilted.
And sorry. Just a little bio on the song. It's about a ghost.
Yeah,
She says there was a ghost where she was living, so this song's about that.
yeah.
Was it
My-
really a ghost?
There was a ghost in my apartment. It was in the whole building. It didn't know apartment walls. But this is a true story.
I was gonna ghost you guys this morning.
Okay.
He's so unreliable.
All right.
There's a ghost in a shadow behind you. Your nervousness turns him polite. He's waiting for something to come from your life. He's
Jeannie Fry and the Lifers. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Jeannie and the crew right here at the Evan Ginzburg Show, VillageConnectionRadio.com. We'll be right back.
Say, you're Bobby Rivers, right?
Bobby barely registers and nods while he looks around for women.
I love how you beat Willie Dean tonight. I hate that guy. You know, I can't.
Bobby looks at the bar and sees Willie Dean talking to two girls.
Hey, Chris, kayfabe.
He looks at the fan.
Sorry, man. We stay here. There's gonna be a fight. Know what I mean? Let's go, Chris.
Chris asks, why didn't we stay? There wasn't going to be any fight. Listen, brother. Bert Ironside's rule number 1. Baby faces and heels do not socialize. Why? It's all about protecting the business. You don't tell your 5-year-old that there's no Santa Claus, and faces and heels do not sit in a bar full of marks drinking together. Kings of the Ring is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or kingsotr.com.
The wrestling fan, you know, they loved you or they hated you. You know, if the fan loved you, they couldn't do enough for you. You know, they want to buy your meal, they want to buy your drink. I think it was one of the main reasons that, you know, whenever I stepped into the ring, I wanted to give back. I wanted to satisfy their reason for coming out and watching me wrestle.
I tell you what, I treated fans with respect and they loved me back. Whether I was a heel or a babyface, it didn't matter.
I learned right from the get-go with my parents that it was to appreciate every single fan that you got, everyone. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I've had longevity in wrestling is that I always treated my fans with a lot of respect.
They wanted to kill me trying to get to my car, and they always knew I was in a Cadillac or something, and it was, you know, you were in fear for your life sometimes.
The New Jersey crowds were always great in the Boston Garden. It was dangerous at the Boston Garden.
The fans were believers in that era. They believed the doggone thing was real. And they were some of the fans were very violent.
I look back on it and I'm saying, well, you put up a lot of you know what. But you know something? That's what drove me to do it. Because the more those people hated me, more this I made.
I was being punched and kicked, and I was having beer thrown on me. I was being hit by chairs.
How angry do you want to make your wrestling fans? How much do you want to butcher up your baby faces until they're all bleeding and they're being beaten by 8 or 10 guys? I mean, how far can you push an audience before they lose it and then you have the Alamo kind of thing?
Play with people's heads, you know. You gotta play with their minds, you gotta play with them. Psychology. Because that's how you manipulate people. And that's what I do. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated you when you were a kid. I know I did. Because you probably didn't like me, or you might have liked me, because I was that way. And a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't. Thank you for the living I made at it, people. You were very good to me.
All right, we're back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at Village Connection Radio, joined by Jeannie Fry and the Lifers with a in-studio set. Very nice, appreciate it. And,
thank you.
And tell us some of your musical influences.
Well, I would say the Shirts. Bob used to play in the band The Shirts.
Okay, the legendary Shirts.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up on the Stones and the Beatles, really.
Never heard of them.
No, I mean, so Cream was a big favorite of mine at the time.
What do you think of Clapton getting like 500 to 1,000 a ticket at this stage of the game?
That's what it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I wish I were him then.
Well, they don't sell records.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
I mean, people don't sell records anymore. You know, you used to make a lot of money on vinyl. You know, but so now it's all free music on the internet, I guess. So That's where they make money.
They make the money with the touring.
Yeah.
And I was at a show the other night, and T-shirts are $40 a pop.
Wow.
And, yeah, that's where they make the money these days. But I think there's still a line where it crosses over into greed. You know, somebody saw the Stones, and it was like $1,000 orchestra, $1,200, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
There you go. There you go.
You know,
Rather put it towards the mortgage or the rent.
I was at the Fillmore. I saw, I saw bands for $350. You see 3 bands, you know.
So tell us about some of the great
Clearwater,
concerts.
Janis Joplin. It's like, you know, it's weird. Traffic. I had the good seats. It was $4.50 for the good seats. But you know, that's like the dinosaur age. I mean, I'm very, you know, so far.
You can still find shows for $5.
Live show. Oh yeah.
Oh
right,
yeah.
right.
Yes, you can.
When we play.
In Red Hook, we do a show every Friday for $5, 3 bands.
And tell us where.
At Rocky Sullivan's.
Okay.
It's called Red Hook Rocks. And
how's the music scene in Red Hook?
well, there's so many bands in every pocket of Brooklyn. It's amazing, all the different genres and stuff.
Right, and these young kids, they're like in 3 or 4 bands. They're not just in one band.
Oh,
It's
okay.
weird.
Right, it's changed.
Right?
It used to be
It's like
you're
that.
a mercenary. You can't be in my. You have to be in my band only.
Right.
And that's it. You have to devote. But now everybody's in 4 or 5 different bands.
I hear there's a scene developing in Staten Island now because Manhattan got so overpriced that a lot of clubs closed. Then it moved to Brooklyn.
Right.
Now the same thing is happening.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a little
that's
scene
good.
in Staten Island now.
That's good.
Well, you got to move where you can pay the rent, I guess.
That's right. That's right. So you mentioned the Fillmore. Tell us about some of the great shows you've seen over the years.
Oh, I saw the Stones at the Garden. I saw Bowie at the Garden. I saw Cream on. It used to be, you know, when they first they didn't know how to do sound really well. So Cream was on a revolving stage in the middle of the Garden, and they had about 10 marshals, 20 marshals each guy. And when the stage faced you, it killed you. You were dying.
Right.
And then it would turn, and the sound would go the other way. Then you could barely hear it.
Wow.
You know, so it was really. I mean, they didn't know how to do it then. You know, but now it's like gotten so much better.
I once saw Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton, and my ears rang for about 2 weeks.
Oh,
he had like
wow.
27 guys on stage.
Yeah. I saw him.
I love George.
At the Palladium.
Yeah.
And he played for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I saw him at the Palladium.
You know, and it was a fantastic show.
Yeah. He's retiring. He's 78 now.
Oh yeah, I think I saw him on TV recently. Right? Yeah.
So, what do you think of ageism in the music business? I once pitched a 16-year-old to a major label, 16, and they said, we're looking for 12 or 13-year-olds
Oh, boy.
to mold. What's your take on ageism in the industry?
I think it's boring because people from every age, like 8-year-olds can play great music sometimes, and you see 3-year-olds on the drums, and then you see bands of people even older than us that just rock and bring it. And if people are ageist, they're just cutting themselves off from wonderful experiences.
If I had one act that I'd go see tonight, it would be Bobby Rush, who's an R&B blues guy. He's 85 years old. He looks like he's 55. He does 2.5 hour shows, and it's like a happy pill, this guy. He's 85. If you want to see a great documentary, check out I Am the Blues, Bobby Rush, Lazy Lester, all these old school Mississippi blues players. But Bobby Rush mixes blues with funk and R&B, and it's a tremendous show. And I think that some of my favorite acts are not kids. And I'm not from the like I said before, I'm not going to go throw down $1,000 to see Clapton, but I'll go see an old R&B. I just saw last weekend the Stylistics and Eddie Holman. Eddie Holman's 73. He's doing "Hey There, Lonely Girl," hitting every note
he
he
still
hit
hits
50
those
years
notes.
ago.
Yeah, geez.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you just go, you're sitting at the foot of greatness, and none of them are kids.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $35.
Yeah, that's
Which
good.
is reasonable.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
It's reasonable for a 3-hour show with 5 acts, kind of like the old Fillmore days.
Right. Yeah.
So this was at the West. We used to call it the Westbury Music Fair.
Oh right.
So the old R&B acts, they don't retire. They just eventually die. There's one original Temptation, one original Four Top, one original Spinner, etc. So on down the line. You know, they just keep. Some of these guys started in the 50s, and they peaked in the 70s, and they're still out there. You know, so
that's what you do. It's
what
you
they
know
do.
like I've been playing. I joined my first band when I was in high school. I was sort of like a jock, but I was very unhappy, and then I joined the rock band, and like I've been playing. I've been in bands since I'm 16. I had success in the shirts for I had a good like 5 or 6 years, but then it just
for those who don't know, tell us about the shirts.
Okay, the shirts started in Brooklyn in 1972, and in those days everyone played covers. You could only get work playing covers, but I don't know why. Me and this guy Artie Lamont said, "We're not going to play covers. We're going to be rock stars. We're going to do our own thing," and we couldn't get any work except at block parties where they didn't care. They used to have these block parties. They didn't care what you played. They'd give you $50.
Well, that's
and
how
you played.
hip hop started. Block parties.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, so we couldn't get any work. But then, this guy that Artie worked with said, "Hey, there's this club, CBGB's. Let's go down there." So we went down there, and they go, "We only book Hillary Crystal, only booked original bands." So I said, "We had like a rock opera. We had all these original tunes," and we did an audition, and then we got the gig, and our first gig was us and the Talking Heads.
Wow.
And there were like, if you could believe it, like 12 people there. And it was like, and like, oh, this guy David Byrne. Who's this guy? It was like Blondie was there. Everybody was nobody, you know.
Right.
And then when they put out the record live at CBGB's, we were on it, and this place got crowded. And then by the end, you'd walk in, you'd be there, like David Bowie would be sitting there. It was like amazing. Johnny Rotten walked in one night. He was like the Pope. I mean, people like the crowd partying. He just walked in, but it was great. It was like amazing. And so then we got signed. Blah blah blah. 5 good years. Got dropped. I was back driving a cab, and
my,
but
dad
I survived.
My dad drove a cab 27 years.
But you know, but I kept playing music, and now the Lifers.
We've been
Jeannie's
playing
great,
forever.
and we're sort of the backup band for her,
and thus the name, the Lifers.
Real Lifers, man.
Bob's in it for life.
Yeah, some people are. Some people stop, you know, and but I don't know what else to do. What do you do?
I took a break for a little bit. You know, bands are tough. You know, it's hard to be in bands with people. It can be difficult. It might be
Except
easy.
me, right, James?
That's correct. Well, this is the only band I haven't quit. So
there's a show called Unsung about R&B bands. They're 1-hour documentaries, and it's always the same story. They meet as friends, they hit it big, and then they disintegrate. It's always the same story.
Yeah. You don't have to even hit it big to disintegrate.
Right.
We do a little YouTube show called A Million Bands in Brooklyn, where we just talk to bands and film them and stuff. And
before they hate each other.
Yeah. One band that we filmed called Basic Bitches. Can I say that?
Oh yeah. It's internet.
They're so cute, and they're a couple. It's just 2 girls, and the first time we interviewed them, they were, you know, we were just asking them regular rock questions, and they're like, well, we're a couple. And then they got married, and they toured together, and they seem to have it all figured out.
And then the divorce tour. That's the next tour.
Don't jinx them, Evan.
I'm joking. So what do you consider some highlights of all your careers, not just with the Lifers? You guys have been out there a while.
I used to play, my very first band was an all-girl punk rock band called Bad Hair. And we were together for a year. I played bass in that one. And then we broke up and reformed into a band, a grunge-ish band before grunge called Bad Dream House. And one of my highlights, I just saw the flyer to the show the other day. It was we opened for Bikini Kill, and it was a $4 show.
Wow.
And Bikini Kill just came around again, and I think it was over $100 for tickets to go see them.
Right.
But I loved opening for other bands that I loved.
Sure. Okay, and you guys?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not originally from New York, so I'm from Pennsylvania, and I played a lot around, you know, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo, that area, and just played. I came here, but I do recall that one time wasn't in a band very long, and we got a gig at Zephyr's Rock and Roll Grill in Elyria, Ohio. Right, and we were on the top of the bill, and then underneath it said Wayne Kramer's Air Raid, and I thought, oh, Wayne Kramer's playing in this venue. I've hit it, you know. This is it. I'm in Elyria, Ohio.
Right.
But Wayne Kramer is going to play here next week. I thought that was pretty cool.
Ohio is considered by many to be the funk capital of the world. The Ohio Players, Zap. It's a big funk scene in Ohio.
Right. But Cleveland is also a very rock town, you know. It always has been. There was the Agora and stuff, and we would play Pop Shop was a place underneath. So just to go to Cleveland, being a hick, was a big deal for me. But then eventually, I got the bug and moved here and tried to play in bands here and played here a lot. I took a break because I was just so tired of it.
Right.
You have fighting and not getting anywhere and this and that.
So, with hindsight, they always say hindsight's 100%. You guys have been in, all these different bands for all these years. Any regrets? Anything you would have done differently?
No.
No?
I don't have any regrets, but I do wish I knew more about the businessy side of it earlier because
Right, yeah.
I'm maybe not because it might have ruined the pure joy of just being in it. We just had so much fun, but I think if we had been better organized, I could have done it as my only form of a living, instead of having day jobs and stuff.
Right.
Well,
if
that's
I was
true,
more savvy.
Because we generated money, but I never saw any of it.
Yeah. Well, that's an old story. I have young friends who are full-time artists, and what they do is they get their music onto movies, TV,
I would
commercials,
love to do
ringtones.
Right, yeah.
They've kind of
yeah.
mastered the business side of it, and it's less on the performance side, because they're trying to balance, how do I pay the rent besides being a great performer and great artist? It's not easy.
Yeah, we still haven't mastered it.
Not easy.
And there are so many good bands and talented people out there. There's really a lot. I mean, it's a great time for music now. There's a lot of stuff going on. But, I don't know how, there's not these huge bands. I mean, there's still big bands on radio or on major labels, but not really. Most of the explosion is happening in local areas and things.
Yeah, a lot of underground
But there's
bands.
great music out there for people who want to go see it.
I tell people support independent everything. Support independent music, independent film, independent art. It's out there. What do you think of this? This gets me crazy. I'm not a kid, obviously. I hate there's been no good music since the Beatles.
Yeah.
There's been no good music since back in the day. There's been no good music since the 70s or 80s or whatever. Oh, just shut up. Come
Not
on.
true. And leave your house. If you go out more, you'll
Right,
find
yeah.
the good music. We have tons of bands play in Red Hook that are we never heard of them before they played there, and they're fantastic.
Right.
There's this band called Decanted Youth that we were filming for one of our A Million Bands in Brooklyn. They're so good, and nobody knows about
real
them.
magical. Yeah, really interesting.
So speaking of that, since you're in touch with all of that, who do we need to hear? Who do we need to see? Any acts you recommend?
There's a band from Brooklyn called Spotlights. This girl, bass player, used to dye my hair for me in the hair salon, and we would always talk about how we're in bands. Spotlights blew up, and I think that's all she has to do now. She doesn't work at the hair salon anymore.
Awesome.
I had to find someone else.
Okay.
But I think they're fantastic.
All right. Anybody else? Because we have independent acts on
Well-
all the time on this show, and I'm the first one to say there's tons of great independent music out there.
You know about it. I'll send you some.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's some young bands in Brooklyn like Ghost King or Sister James. There's a great band called God Tiny, but their singer went on tour with the Shacks as their drummer, and so they're kind of like stagnant now. I hope they get back together. But those are bands that I would listen to. They're friends of my son's, actually.
All right. And the other thing that gets me nuts is when middle-aged white folk go, rap music isn't music. And I'll go, check out Public Enemy, check out De La Soul, check out Tribe Called Quest, etc. so on. Don't denigrate an entire genre of music.
Right.
Like I
it's
said,
ridiculous.
if you're narrow-minded, you're just depriving yourself.
Well-
I was into rap from the get-go, and
yeah.
I loved all the Schoolie D and all the old stuff.
People don't think a sampler is
Funky 4
is
plus
an
1,
instrument.
going
I
all
thought
the
it
way
was
back.
fantastic. I mean, what
Yeah.
could be better? People talking about their lives, storytelling.
Well, if old people don't like it, it's probably good.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
that's what they said about rock and roll when it started.
That's
it wasn't
what
music.
right.
So it's
I
just like
saw my friend George on the street, and he was complaining about his two 20-year-old daughters and how they're crazy. And I said, George, you were 20 years old once. What were you like? He said, oh, change his mind a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So plug anything you want to plug. Any upcoming gigs, social media. You have a CD you want to show?
We bought
Okay.
our CD. It's on Bandcamp too, but we made a physical CD because some people just collect and like to have it. This is our only release right now.
That's a very striking cover.
Yeah, it's tie-dye.
Okay.
And what's it called, Jeannie?
It's called Baby It's You. I believe you have the video for the song Baby It's You, but I have a disclaimer that was me trying to teach myself how to make videos.
All right.
So I just pulled...
And how do people get that?
Okay, so you can buy it in person at one of our shows. We're playing June 20th at the Deep End. It's in Ridgewood.
Okay.
Or you can get it online. You can listen to it on Spotify, or you can get it on Bandcamp.
Did you hear iTunes is shutting down?
No.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard that.
I did
Yes, I heard
hear that.
iTunes is over.
That seems impossible. How did
It's
that happen?
I don't know the politics, but it's shutting down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long do we have?
Not long. Not long.
Wow.
Anything else you'd like to plug? Social media, websites, Facebook.
We're on Facebook, Jeannie Fry and the Lifers.
And spell Fry, because I see it two different ways.
It's F-R-Y.
F-R-Y. Okay. Okay.
Man, thank you so much for having us on the show.
My pleasure. Anything else, you guys? Any other gigs?
Right now, just the Deep End, but we're gonna get more gigs. I think we're gonna play in Norwalk, Connecticut, where we have a pocket of fans due to my brother.
Okay. There you go. All right, Jeannie Fry and the Lifers. Thank you so much for appearing.
Thank you
very
so much.
Appreciate it. And we're going to show their videos now. All right.
In the light of day, everything might change. So pull down the shades, keep it soft and gray. Tear down the night, wear it like a cape. Never gonna get caught out in the light of day. The light of day. We found a little love in between the sheets, but will that love last out in our mean old streets? Gonna play it safe, gonna hide away, never gonna get caught out in the light of day. The light of day. Hold down the night, wear it like a cape. Never ever gonna get lost in
All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show, and one of our regular guests, probably our most frequent guest, Chris Michaels, wearing his NEW New Evolution Wrestling shirt. This will please Mr. Big, who gave us a hard time because we mentioned other promotions, like it's a monopoly or something. But anyway.
No, you know what? I talked to him and I told him about the. It was one of those things I expected. They didn't want anything that didn't promote their product. And I said, well, okay, it was a whole thing. It's all water under the bridge.
This reminds me of the indie stupidity where promoters go and slash tires and take the flyers off of other cars. Everybody should just promote everybody. Honestly,
it would work nicer that way, but I think at some point we'll see. Maybe we'll get the territories back. I'd like to see that. Yeah, but just a little time away. I'm trying not to hit this lavalier microphone because we're upgraded here at Village Connection Radio. The equipment is top of the line. This is why they're like shows like Monty and the Pharaoh, the #1 wrestling show on the internet, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, Monty and the Pharaoh had on Scott Hall. There were 50,000 viewers, so nobody's going to touch that. And these guys do some really good work. They'll have like 17 pages of notes, and they're prepared. Whereas I just wing it. But
I was teasing Jimmy Farrow, calling him a fanboy, and I dared him to call me a jobber. He goes, I will not call you a jobber. I have so much respect for what you're doing. Call me a jobber. Come on. Let me hear it. Come on. Jobber, say it. Jobber. I won't. I said, I take no offense to it, and I told him why. I said, I was at a convention, and I had my jobber T-shirt on. And it was, I got Booker T. Saw that. He came up, he shook my hand, he was laughing, goes, oh, I love that shirt. He goes, brother, we're all jobbers. I said, exactly. If it's performance art and sports entertainment, look, does anybody disparage the stuntmen in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, like the first 300 guys that got taken out in the opening sequence of, bombs, explosions, and Claymore mines and all that crap? No one disparages these guys. So, we digress.
Yeah.
June 22nd.
Tell us about June 22nd.
New Evolution Wrestling, June 22nd. There's a tribute to
Pedro
J.L.
Morales.
Chico. Well, yes, Pedro Morales, of course, and his many achievements, especially being a man of Latin descent in a mostly majority white, white wrestling. But wrestling was mostly white for the most part. So you had little guys like that were trailblazers at their time for being, the first of their time to gain some traction, and he had a lot of achievements. We also have another local guy, J.L. Chico, who is no longer with us, and they're also going to remember him. Some of the guys that's on the indie scene, that if you're familiar with the indie scene, you might be familiar with what he says. He is the best big man in the business. I think T.J. Marconi might have other words for that, but Vince Steele, the Jurassic Juggernaut, will be there.
Big boy.
Astro Morales, the Puerto Rican powerhouse.
He's a big boy too.
Yes, he most certainly is. Black Zemis will be there. Hush Holiday. And everybody knows and everybody loves Magic. Magic, the independent wrestling legend. Yes, the legend, Magic.
I posted online that Magic is one of... You could count on two hands the number of people in wrestling that nobody has a bad word to say about. Magic is one of them. And recently, I should also acknowledge the noted photographer Lyle C. Williams passed. And he was another guy. Everybody loved this guy. Just a friendly guy. Anything he could do to help. He worked a lot with CZW, more in the Pennsylvania area than New York. But Lyle C. Williams passed the other day, and much respected. And my buddy Dale Pierce, who passed last year, they're going to do a tribute to him in Washington later this year. It's going to be in the winter, so as we get closer, we'll talk more about that as well. But June 22nd at the Hallowed Elks Lodge, correct?
That's 8220 Queens Boulevard.
Everybody knows where it is.
Elmhurst, New York. Well,
yeah.
Well, you know what? There's that one person that doesn't know. And for that one person that don't know.
It's the building with the giant elk out front.
Right.
That's the clue, that it's the Elks Lodge.
Well, you have to spell it. But go to the boxy-shaped building to the immediate east side of the building. That's where the event will be. Otherwise, you might get baptized in the Korean Christian church that's adjacent to the to the facility.
Yeah,
so.
you might miss the show, but you get a free baptism.
Right, you get in
Korean, no less. Annyeonghaseyo.
Yeah, see that? Also in attendance, by the way, Fuego Calderon, Mr. Guapo, no, El Guapo Lou Nova, and Andrew Anderson.
The omnipresent Andrew Anderson, who's everywhere simultaneously.
Yes, I think he's taking on holograms now. That he's making appearances at these.
He's everywhere
Comic-Con
except
things.
my show. I put him in The Wrestler, which helped make his career. 10 years I've asked him to do my show. He's never come down once.
Well, I guess we're just going to have a life-size thing here, and just have to have filling in the audio clip where maybe just send a video. Andrew Anderson, we're going to put you on a milk carton to see if we can find you to get you in that seat over here one day.
You know what I always say about Andrew Anderson? When he walks down the street, people go, that guy's a wrestler. like there's no denying it. He looks the part.
The guy's a wrestler, or someone that twists the necks of chickens in in the slaughterhouse.
I actually like him. He's a very personable guy, warm guy. He's what do you think of this? He's gotten a lot of heat over the years for self-promotion, and I'm kind of like, well, isn't that the job of the wrestlers, to self-promote, to get booked, to make a living at this? I think there's some jealousy there when people are critical of him.
I think it's more in the guys that just don't get it files.
Right.
So that's how I view that, because self-promotion, there's nothing wrong with self-promotion. Yeah, I mean, if I was opening a butcher shop on the corner, would I be remiss to say, oh, no, why should I hand flyers out? I'll just hang some pretty banners and put some balloons in front. Everybody will find out. Well, word of mouth doesn't travel that fast. You would hope it would, but it doesn't.
And he's one of the rare indie guys that make a living at it. There's no 9 to 5. This is all he does. Autograph appearance, wrestling, commercials, acting. He's put all the pieces together. Where he's not going to some soul-killing corporate job. So I think people should respect that, as opposed to, being, he's always hyping himself. We put out a movie. It took 6 years to make, 350 days, obviously. The name of the movie. It took far more than 350 days.
Many 350 days.
Yeah, it took 6 years of 365 days. So the point being, we're gonna hype this to death, and I don't think there's any shame in it, because people put blood, sweat, tears, and a small fortune of money into making this film.
Well, not to mention the time. Time is valuable too, and you want to get some kind of compensation for it. That's why, I guess with the piracy, with the movies and music, it really hurts the people in the industry. It even the people down the people that are mixing this stuff. It affects these people too, not just the artists, but it also affects everybody in that chain that made that. So it's
while everybody was doing the AEW versus WWE, debates online. What I found interesting, as someone who's involved in the arts, were the many people debating: do you pay for the pay-per-view, which was $50, or do you watch it for free, which is more than available online if you know where to go? And many people were saying, I'm going to pay for it. I want to support it. I believe in it. And I think that's part of it. I once had a conversation with a young guy, and he goes, I don't pay for any content. I download everything. And I refuse to pay for any content. And I'm like, wow, that's really privileged, because doesn't this guy understand, the pain that goes into creating art, that he has an entitlement, any movie ever made, any TV show, any music, whatever the case may be, it's at his fingertips. But even to say that to creative people and not feel, that's stealing.
Well, to him, it's just a downloadable file. It's
that downloadable file. Somebody put a lot of time and effort into it, And
well, you know what? Because it's not malleable. It's not something you could actually touch and feel. See, it's got a different aspect to it. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just a file on a computer. It doesn't have physical form like this. You know what I mean? So I think people differentiate things, and they can somehow kind of justify it because, well, everybody else does it.
Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaohs said to me that he will not steal an AEW pay-per-view or whatnot. He's a true wrestling fan and he wants to support it, and and that's a promotion owned by a billionaire,
right?
But I understand his point, and I tend to think if you believe in something, support it. Then you have the whole GoFundMe debate, and you got many wrestlers who have not fared well, have not ended up well, have had health problems, physical problems, and have gone online and asked for help. They saved Paul Orndorff's house. They saved Kamala's house, etc., so on. And I think that's great. So why go online and say, quote, they're all scams? You know how many times I've read that? They're all scams. No, some are scams, just like some people are scammers and some other people are honest. Some are scams, but many of them are legit. Even Sabu, who's controversial, that was a legitimate hip operation. It was legitimate, okay? Why put out there, don't support it, it's a scam? Come on. At what point do you lose human empathy? Whether you like Billy Graham or not, why put out there it's a scam? He has legitimate health problems.
Well, I mean, goes right back to why Jesse Ventura many years ago was trying to unionize the wrestlers and try to, because now if they're sports entertainers, shouldn't they fall under something like SAG? Because now
they're on hit primetime TV shows.
Well, I mean, if you think about how now it's segued from being almost like a wrestler, grappler kind of thing, and it was to be taken serious. I mean, at least when the John Stossel interview happened, he got slapped up for it because they tried to maintain the realism of it and tried to make sure that people still felt there's some doubt, but they think it's not. You know what I mean? They're that little doubt. But now, once the cat got let out of the bag, that's it. It was done. So, if they are entertainers, sports entertainment, then why shouldn't they also be taken care of in that respect? I mean, doesn't it make sense if you have people that are employing with you that are putting their bodies on the line, that are night after night, it's not like we could just go to a junkyard, get another part, slap it on, a little Bondo, sand it down, spray paint, we're good to go. It doesn't work like that.
I've seen millionaire producers, directors do GoFundMes for projects, and the fans throw money at them. I mean, at millionaires. So if somebody's legitimately down on their luck, worst case scenario, you don't believe in GoFundMes, don't say anything. Just don't give. But why publicly go, quote, they're all scams? This gets me crazy. I'm sorry.
Well, it's people are jaded nowadays. The internet. I mean, look, with every other call you get on your phone is a freaking bot. Solar panel. Listen, any of you guys that are out there, I know you scammers are out there with your solar panel thing. Don't call my number. Stop. I don't want that eyesore on top of my house. I don't want my roof caving in. Okay, I'm fine with what I got. Just look, solar is obsolete. Trust me. There's new technology that's out there that's coming out. So forget it. It's like the wind turbines.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Me neither.
I've lived in apartments my whole life.
Yeah. But these people, they call. And hi, we'd like to talk to you about solar. I said, did I ask for you to call me? He said, then why are you calling me? You're going to somehow convince me to buy solar panels from this mere phone call? I was like, oh my God, I had an epiphany. Solar panels, why didn't I think of this? It's not going to happen. Don't call me. All right.
Yeah. Other promotions coming up. We have the IWW debuting in Queens June 29. Imani Labels is one of the brain trusts there, and that's going to be a great promotion. SWF running pretty much each and every weekend. What's going on with SWF?
Oh, see, like I said, they have June 29th, they have a show. I was actually supposed to be there, but That's my daughter's graduation party. So, Simply Splendid.
Lower off. There's always another graduation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They come. Graduations come. They go.
Yeah, that's right. Every 4 years.
At least, right? Just like the leap year, right?
Yeah.
But Simply Splendid Bobby C is going to step in my place. Is going to take on Magic, and that's going to be in Sayville, New Jersey. So, once again, there's a long history with Magic, as you well know. When he came in as the Happy Fat Magic, and then I slapped a little sense into him, and then he turned into the dark, dreary, old school carjacker. The guy on the streets, the thug, the punk, and now he has to face Bobby C. Well, Magic. There's other tricks up the sleeve. Keep an eye out. I have 2 words for you: strong style. That's all I have to say. Strong style. Be wary. Be very, very wary. I'd say check out SWF, who is still sponsoring the show here. Remember, check them out. The most active independent promotion right now on the Upper East Coast. And I would also say, keep your eyes peeled, because there's going to be more exciting news coming from the SWF camp. So I put a bug in your ear if you want to know, you want to find out. Look up SWF Live Entertainment. Don't forget, folks, New Evolution Wrestling. Elks Lodge, June 22nd.
You missed
Rage.
the birth of your mother and father. Don't miss this.
Casey Lycan. I will slip into simply sensational, fabulous, and tell you, Rage. I will beat you like a dog that had an accident on a brand new shag rug. Casey Lycan. I'm going to break you in half and then feed you to a tank of piranhas.
Wow, that's rough.
We'll be done with you both. Rage, we will seriously have to put you in a straitjacket. You put your hands on the queen. She won't be there, but we have someone else that's going to help take care of business. Be very wary, Rage. So,
yeah.
One of my many 8 personalities. Shut up.
Yeah.
There's too many people talking in my head.
And we want everybody to support ProWrestlingStories.com and the Gorilla Position, our boy Jim Phillips.
The Rocky Mountain High Hat Jim Phillips.
With the emphasis on the high. Yes.
Very much so.
Yes.
Well, he's from Colorado. The 2 best things that coming out of Colorado now is Rocky Mountain High and the old Rocky Mountain High Coors. Coors brewed up there. Coors. Thing about the elevation up there, you get that tiny bit more of the alcohol content in there because of the water and the height. Stupid fact. I don't know.
Yeah. You're the perfect guy to ask.
I won't be on Jeopardy, though. I will never make it.
Everybody's talking about the Undertaker and Goldberg disaster. You're obviously not a kid. You're still wrestling in your 50s, as they are. So I think you'd be the perfect guy to discuss this. At what point does somebody say, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm tarnishing my reputation? Or do you take a huge payday, which they got, and, go for the money? I mean, what's your take on it? Because it did not end well. It was a disaster, and the fans have shit on it. So,
well, I didn't see it, so I can't give commentary as far as the quality of match.
A lot of botched moves, and supposedly Goldberg had a concussion. And
well, I mean, I don't know how long if they spent out of the ring. I don't know how much ring rust they had. But I look at if it takes you longer to put on all the appliances and ACL braces and wraps and creams and nips and tips and tugs, whatever. If it takes you longer to put your stuff on than your actual match, and if you can't move, it's you need the ring ropes to pull yourself up because you just can't pull yourself up. When the signs like it's it's kind of like the sign of a pet owner, like the dragon. The animal's got open sword and you're dragging him. It's like the dog doesn't even walk anymore. But
fluffy shot.
At some point, you got to realize it's time to pack it in.
But the number that was thrown around, which may or may not be exaggerated, was $2 million per guy or whatever. I mean, it's hard to say no.
Well, I bought you a few spots for $2 million.
Yeah.
I bought you for a whole lot less, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to be 58 in a couple days, so and I still move around pretty good considering. I'm not going to flippity flop, but I can sure as hell bump with the rest of these guys. And when I walk into a locker room, the young guys just look at me and they're like, "You're ageless." And I said, "Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get you guys to stop wearing T-shirts and wrestle because it doesn't do the product any good." You know, my other thing, like I talked to these guys, I said, you know, my pet peeve, wrestling back in the day. Imagine Animal and Hawk, or the Barbarian and the Warlord walking through an airport with one of these little faggy bags with wheels on it, carrying their gear.
Politically incorrect.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, that's what it is to me. Sorry, here you are, a guy. You can move the planet with your bare hands, but 35 pounds or less of stuff you have to drag behind you on wheels. It kills perception's reality. I'll throw my bag over my shoulder, my other thing over my shoulder. I'll do it like I did when I was in the Army. I want them to see, wow, look at this guy. He's humping his stuff inside here. I want them to see, you know, it's not just, you know, what they see outside. You know, they want to see, you know, you carrying a little bit of kayfabe, for God's sake. Could we at least do that? Gee whiz. Bruno Sammartino was the type of guy that if he was out in a restaurant having dinner, he wouldn't even have a glass of wine if children would see him drinking alcohol. That's how conscious he was of his fans and what his image was in the public eye. Guys just, you know, they don't think. Personally, for what we're doing with Team Splendid, we're going to be dressed different. We're going to come there looking professional, having a different look to us. You know, you get the guys, the salty 2-year ring veterans coming in with their fanny packs now because they're trying to bring fanny packs back. But if you didn't have Zubaz and fanny pack and all that stuff 20 years ago, you know, you're not one of those guys. Wrestling nowadays, it's taking a turn. Ageism, for all the guys, like you see Greg Valentine and other guys, you say, like, should they pack it in? And some of these guys, it's all that they do. Like Jimmy Snuka, I mean, like right till the very end, to the point of where he was incapable of like barely moving, he was out there, you know, still trying to wrestle. I mean, he was going from the Superfly, from the top rope to the middle rope to the bottom rope.
Greg Valentine's been out there over 50 years, and he's been doing this since he was a teenager. So, I mean, he's not cut out for a 9-to-5. This is what he's going to do. He loves it. He treats it almost like a workout at this point. He gets in the ring, he breaks a sweat. He's not trying to recreate, you know, Valentine Piper, Valentine Flair.
Valentine, Ronnie Garvin. Those were some brutal matches.
Yeah, you know, he's looking at it very differently, and it's a means to an end also. But as far as Goldberg and Undertaker, what I said was, the more stinkers that WWE put out, AEW is not going to put them under. They're a $1 billion corporation. But I don't think it's positive to be perceived as you're the dinosaur and this is the hot new thing that you're competing with. And I think you can siphon off a small percentage of those fans.
Well, we'll see what happens when the new sneaker smell wears off.
Right.
You know, because right now they're the latest thing. And when you were talking about people stealing the streaming stuff, I'll go back to when I was walking with Balls Mahoney, another guy who's no longer with us, when ECW was having a show at the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was the first show they had there. Billy Corrigan was there. He played the national anthem on the guitar. And I went around the corner with Balls Mahoney to probably get a 40 ounce or something. I don't know what the hell he went to go get. And on the way back, this guy is trying to scalp tickets to Balls Mahoney. So this guy wasn't a wrestling fan, just some guy, some ticket scalpers over there. And he like looks at the guy and goes, brother, I'm one of the main events on this show. I don't need a ticket for this thing.
Yeah.
So he goes into Paul Heyman and goes, Paul, you're not going to believe this. These guys are right there scalping tickets. He goes, Balls, we made it.
Yeah.
Don't you get it? We made it. So I'm thinking by these people, I'm using that same analogy, is if you're willing to go that far to steal something content, the curiosity that pulls you for that, maybe it's like they want to dip their toe in the water first. You know, maybe they're afraid. You know, like if some people, they do something, then there's buyer's remorse. Maybe these guys are just being a little, you know, too cynical saying, no, it's just going to be garbage. It's just going to be garbage. I'd rather steal it first, see if it's any good. Maybe I'll pay for it next time. That's my think how these guys work. And maybe some of them will just be pricks and steal every show.
So I'll leave it with this. I thought the AEW pay-per-view for a first effort was tremendous. The Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. I never saw either of those guys in a better match. And Omega and Jericho also very, very good. So you had 3 4-star plus matches, and just for a first effort, it was great. And then you watch a WWE pay-per-view, and it's so uneven, and it's so long, and it's so nonsensical, a lot of it. But WWE had Seth Rollins and AJ Styles 2 pay-per-views back, which was tremendous. So you can't just dismiss WWE.
Well, I wouldn't dismiss them.
They're a $1 billion corporation. They're not going anywhere.
I wouldn't dismiss them, but now there's a measuring stick.
Yeah.
So now there's something else. Like, when I was in the desert doing my NTC training, there was a big mountain, and there was a guy that was saying, I'm gonna walk toward the mountain. So we said, all right, whatever. So we were sitting in our tank. We had downtime. The guy's walking. Half an hour later, the guy's still walking. 45 minutes, the guy's still walking. And from where we're looking, and we said, how far is he? So we turned the tank around. We swung the main gun around, and we took the tank sights. We got sighted in on him. He didn't even make a dent in how far that mountain. We sighted how far it was away. That thing was miles away, but it looked like it was right on top of you. Mm. So that's what I'm saying. With before now, when WWE sucked everything up, there's this big mountain. There's nothing to put it in perspective.
Right.
Now you got something else. Now it's like, well, wait a second. All right, someone else is up there. I mean, with the indies, as far as the indies are concerned, I consider the indies the bread aisle in a supermarket.
Okay.
But now you got these 2 top guys, and then you got the indies. So now the indies, everybody, when I see indies fashion themselves after WWE, I kind of like, they're trying to emulate them, rather than guys just doing their own thing.
New Japan's a huge promotion. Ring of Honor just played the Garden. AAA is coming to the Garden in September, which you don't hear people really talking about.
I've seen AAA years ago.
They're playing the Garden, the main building.
Last time I saw AAA at the Garden, that's when Diamond Dallas Page was coming out with the cigar, smoking the cigar gimmick. And
Eddie Guerrero was there, Art Barr, I was there.
And the guy's no longer with us. Luis Piccoli was his tag team partner at the time.
Yeah.
So that goes back that far. And
that was like 92, 93.
Yeah, that was back.
It was in the 90s, yeah.
Well, it was when the guy by the name of Michael LeBron, he was a radio guy for ABC Radio, and they called him the news decoder on WPIX. I was sitting at the show with him and the newscaster Bruce Anderson at that show. I was, we were talking. We were kind of friendly with him at the time because they were doing the morning show, and I used to call in all the time. And I knew Curtis Sleever from Tommy D show, so I used to go over there. That was kind of cool. So I was there with him. He's a big wrestling fan, and he knew Bobby Heenan.
Wow.
And another guy we don't have with us anymore. Gee, going down the list, it's like
yeah. Anytime you start reminiscing with wrestling, it's grim.
Well,
I was watching a 10-man tag from the Philadelphia Spectrum in the 80s.
Spectrum. How many name changes have there gone since then?
7 of them were gone.
Wow.
It was Ray Stevens and Jimmy Snuka and Buddy Rose. 7 of the 10 were gone. It was almost surreal watching this,
Now, it's like I mean, many times we sit there, going off saying, oh boy, we're checking off who we knew, who's gone. How many times we've had to attend and pay our respects, and it's brutal.
I'll have agents call me up to book wrestlers, and my first instinct is Nikolai or Johnny Valiant, and then I go, wow, they're both gone. It's like I can't wrap my head around it. I just. On that happy note, we're going to wrap this up. Plug anything you want to plug.
Well, New Evolution Wrestling is coming up. Main event will be Team Splendid versus Rage and Casey Lycon. Rage is going to catch the beatdown that he got the last time. He got beaten like a dog. He's going to get beaten like a dog again. So we're going to kick him. Rage is a chihuahua, and we're going to step on... Actually, we're gonna kick a chihuahua every time we think of Rage. Every time we do, so or we're gonna kick a kitten. That's how angry we will be at Team Splendid. Just kidding, we won't hurt animals.
There you go. There you go. Chris Michaels, always a great guest. And shout out to Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh, Jimmy.
I like when
Jobber. I want to hear you say it, Jimmy. Call me a jobber. I want to hear it. Love you guys. Monty and the Pharaoh, Team Splendid, invite us on.
I like when Jimmy Farrow gets all emotional. He'll say, "Do you remember when Greg Valentine went to that 1 hour draw with Bob Backlund?" He's practically crying. You gotta love that guy.
Well, you know what? I tease him about being a fanboy, but stats, statistics, and everything else, to love something that much where it's like all of these things, and you know what? That, to me, it makes it worthwhile. That's why at my age, right, 58 really soon, and I'm still taking bumps, it's because guys like him make me want to keep doing this, and I want to prove age isn't wrong. I want to do this into my 60s and show these 20-somethings that they got a long way to go to try to get themselves looking like this. A long way to go. A long way to go. First, you got to go to the gym.
I don't think we could end on a more inspirational note. Go to the gym, fanboys, like Chris Michaels.
And you yarders, go to the gym.
That's right.
Kick pads, super kicks.
I'm going to the gym right after this. Chris is shaming me.
Yeah, I'm gonna horsewhip him. I have a gym in my garage. I'm gonna throw him on the treadmill. I'm gonna have a dangle a bagel in front of him, make him run.
That's right. There you go. It's a Jewish stereotype.
Boom, boom.
All right. And when we come back, we're gonna talk to Across the Board, an alt-pop rock band from Toronto, Canada, courtesy of Michael Stover's MTS Management Group. Chris Michaels is doing some Billy Graham, Jesse Ventura here to wrap things up.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, folks.
Say, you're Bobby Rivers, right? Bobby barely registers and nods while he looks around for women. I love how you beat Willie Dean tonight. I hate that guy. I can't. Bobby looks at the bar and sees Willie Dean talking to two girls. Hey, Chris, kayfabe. He looks at the fan. Sorry, man, we stay here. There's going to be a fight. Know what I mean? Let's go, Chris. Chris asks, why didn't we stay? There wasn't going to be any fight. Listen, brother. Bert Ironside's rule number 1. Baby faces and heels do not socialize. Why? It's all about protecting the business. You don't tell your 5-year-old that there's no Santa Claus, and faces and heels do not sit in a bar full of marks drinking together. Kings of the Ring is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or kingsotr.com.
The wrestling fan, they loved you or they hated you. If the fan loved you, they couldn't do enough for you. They want to buy your meal, they want to buy your drink. I think it was one of the main reasons.
All right, we are back at villageconnectionradio.com with the Evan Ginzburg Show, and we are bringing on board Across the Board, an award-winning Canadian rock band from Toronto, Ontario. Formed in 2013, Across the Board quickly gained popularity with their YouTube cover series Pick Up and Play, now with over 500 videos on YouTube, imprinting their unique and innovative musical style and videography on both contemporary and classic rock songs while featuring other local artists as guests. And we are live via Skype with Across the Board's Jacqueline August. Hello?
Jacqueline? Jacqueline? She can't hear me. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second, Evan.
All right. We are having some tech difficulties, which happens with live radio.
Let me go to the video.
Okay.
I can't understand why she can't hear us. Hello? This is terrible. This doesn't make any sense.
Can you see me now?
Can you push an audience before they?
Can you hear me?
Then you have the album.
Yes, hold on 1 sec.
Play with people's
Okay.
heads.
I'm not sure what happened.
You gotta
That
play
was
with
very
their
weird.
minds. You gotta play with them.
We were doing great, and then suddenly nothing.
Because that's how you manipulate people. And that's what I do. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated you when you were a kid. I know I did. Because you probably didn't like me, or you might have liked me. because I was that way. And a lot of people did. A lot of people did. Thank you for the living I made at it, people. You were very good to me.
All right, we are back with the Evan Ginsberg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Our apologies for the tech issues. Joining us from across the board, Jacqueline August. Jacqueline, how are you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. I can hear you before, but I guess you couldn't hear me.
We couldn't hear you, which makes interviewing quite difficult.
For sure. Yeah, everything's cool. How's the weather there?
It's hot and it's like barbecue weather, but what about Canada?
Well, we're in Toronto, and let me just turn that down. We're in Toronto, and it's overcast but pretty warm.
Okay. And tell us about Across the Board.
Well, Across the Board is a rock band. We started in about 2013. We started out as a YouTube band, and we just did a whole bunch of covers and built up a YouTube following and a social media following. And then a bunch of our fans sort of asked us one day, well, you guys do all these cool covers, and what's your own music sound like? And we were like, I don't know. Maybe we should write some and see what happens. So 5 albums later, here we are.
I have an inspirational story to tell you. I was at Madison Square Garden the other night, and there was an artist named Rachel Platten who started as a YouTube artist, and her last single had 9 million views, and now she was opening at Madison Square Garden after playing every dive bar in the city, and the crowd was actually singing the lyrics to her song, and she was practically crying on stage. Aww. You know, the struggle. So there's always that hope that one day you can play Madison Square Garden.
Yes, for us it's the Staples Center here, which used to be the Air Canada Center in Toronto, where all the big acts come. That would be awesome.
There you go. And tell us about some of your musical influences.
Well, because I sort of grew up in the 80s, for me it's Fleetwood Mac and Joan Jett, sort of the end of the girl rock era, you know? I really like that sort of female rock edge sound, and as a female fronted band, that's something that certainly has been a big influence. Sheryl Crow and Paramore, Garbage, all these kind of female fronted bands are sort of where we live.
What about the Go-Go's?
Well, that's kind of poppy for us.
Too poppy?
A little poppy. Yeah, I love the music, but it's a little early and a little we're more rock and roll.
Gotcha. And what do you consider some career highlights?
Well, we went to Dollywood last year and went to the Josie Music Awards. We just picked up 3 awards at the Grammy Museum in LA.
Wow.
For our last album, Sonic Boom, for Best Band, Best Rock Song, and Best Rock Album. So we kind of cleaned up there in the rock category. We just played a sold-out opera house here in Toronto for our newest CD release, which was pretty big. And watching, our fans sing our songs back again, that, just like you said, that's probably one of the biggest things that happens. Whenever I see that, it melts me, Those are always great shows when that happens.
Speaking of great female bands, LaBelle, led by Patti LaBelle, once played an opera house in New York, and back in the day, that was a big deal. So what's it like to bring rock to an opera house?
Well, it's cool. What they've done at the opera house here is there's 2 tiers. There's the upper level, of course, the bottom level. They've taken out all the seating from the bottom level and turned it into like a music house.
Oh, I
and
see.
Then if you want to sit down, you can go upstairs to the balcony and sit in the old-fashioned way. So that's what makes it really cool. So you can have a combination of people who want to stand up, dance, get right up to the stage, or for the folks who like to sit down and do the kind of concert seating or theater seating, they can go upstairs and have a great view of the stage. So it's sort of a short, tall, skinny place. It's very cool.
And as you've climbed the ladder and gotten various awards and been on the road and seen the world, what in hindsight would you have done differently? Anything? Hindsight's always 100%, but what have you learned from your voyage, your journey?
Honestly, I can't see us having done anything differently. We really needed to cut our teeth on YouTube. I don't think getting out any sooner, and writing our own music any sooner would have helped. We produced our first album in 2016. It was like my birthday, June 14th, 2016, is when we released our very first album, Jane on Fire, and that was the time to do it. Really, I think in retrospect, I might have kept the core band a little more active in other kinds of YouTube videos. We did a lot of music, but we didn't, in the early days, do a lot of vlogs. But we've done a lot of that kind of stuff lately. In the last couple of years, we've run a 365 vlog where we do an almost daily thing where you can look behind the scenes. We've got a bunch of other different kinds of shows that we put on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram that we just keep doing. Like we have a caravan karaoke thing, which is a karaoke that we do in the car, but not really carpool because we use our van that we use for touring. We invite friends, different kinds of artists from Toronto to come and do those with us. We have a cooking show, which is kind of fun. Call it Kitchen Sessions. We bring our musical guests and they have to cook something and then we sing a song with them, and that's always fun. And then we do a thing called Pick Up and Play, which is our cover series. That was sort of our claim to fame, where we take a notable song. We just did a series of Elton John songs. We just did a song actually where we took a tiny pink piano and played your song on that tiny pink piano with the little microphone that you plug into it. And we did a great big video on it, which was really fun. So we're always being creative. It would have been nice to be more creative earlier, but we were, cutting our teeth on YouTube like everybody else was, trying to figure out how to run the platform, how to videotape, how to record, how to do it all at once, on our own, which we finally figured out.
And what do you think of all of these music shows like Songland and The Voice and American Idol type shows? I think back in the day, a band would be in their garage and really, hone their craft. And now all of a sudden, they're 17 and they're playing in front of millions on TV. What's the good and bad of that?
Well, the good is they get to jump a lot of steps. They get to take their talent right to the top and be seen by millions of people, which is awesome. I mean, it allows people who wouldn't have otherwise had a voice or who possibly don't have the looks, such as in The Voice, or, the mainstream look, or who don't have the money to have a band and develop themselves as artists, to be able to kind of jump through some of those hoops, or I could just jump over those hoops and then be seen by, some of the biggest stars in the world and the biggest industry people in the world. The bad of it is that if you win the show, you've got a contract with a label that might hold you back a bit. Also, I can't think of very many people who have won those shows. There's just a handful who have gone on to have monster careers. You really can't replace hard work and paying your dues. So even though it's exciting to think that you could get discovered on The Voice, it also comes with a burden on top of it. You lose autonomy for a period of time, and then if you don't win, you're still kind of signed to those labels or whoever is running those for about a year. So you're kind of stuck in a rut a little bit. Some of our friends have been on those shows and have stories such as that. Gotcha. Some of the most successful people didn't win The Voice or didn't win American Idol. They came second or third or fourth and were released and then able to do something with themselves. Adam Lambert, Jennifer Hudson, it goes on and on. And those people went on to do big things because they had the platform, but they didn't have the burden of being that star. So there's good and bad.
And what do you have coming up?
So coming up, we're going on tour this summer. We're going to be touring all over Eastern Canada. We're going to take out a RV and start driving across our country up here. And then we've got a really big show coming up in the fall, a cancer benefit here in Toronto. That's going to be a big thing again at the Opera House. So excited about that.
And please plug any social media, plug anything you like to plug.
Sure, you can follow us on YouTube. We've got now over 650 videos. I just looked at it this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, I was like, what? Wow. And that's it's youtube.com ATB Music Canada, because we're across the board. We just shortened it to ATB Music Canada. You can also find us on Twitter at ATB Music Canada. We have a huge Instagram following and lots of stuff that we put on Instagram. We put our videos on Instagram. You can find us at Across the Board Band on Instagram. And then if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Jackie.acrosstheboard.
Thank you so much, Jackie from Across the Board. And thanks again to Michael Stover from MTS Management Group, MTS Records, for setting this up. Thank you so much. Best of luck with your tour. Best of luck with all your future endeavors. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So this wraps up.
That was a rough one.
Yeah.
I think I just aged about 5 years on that one.
Yeah, the tech stuff is never the easy part, but we got through it. I always go back to the time I was sitting at 50,000 watt WBAI FM 4 in the morning when we had a blackout, and the late great Fred Giabold said, "We have no power." We're sitting in the dark, 4 in the morning, okay, in a studio. I'll never forget that. And so you just kind of roll with the punches when you do live radio. But
well, on a positive note, because of that delay, I'm going to get to play one of their songs.
Great. So we're going to see one of the 650 videos.
One of 650.
Okay. Here we go, folks. Across the Board to wrap things up here.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. Don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, then again, no. I'm a man who makes motions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is a song. Maybe quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life you're in the world. Sat on kicked off the march. Well, if you were the verses, well, they got me quite cross. The sun's been quite kind. I wrote this song. It's for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things that I do, see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is what I really mean. Yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. You can tell everybody this is your song. Maybe quite simple, but now that it's done,
this lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation, they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clear. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns, this heartbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns, this broken man has already won. Oh, my mind.